Attention, Mountaineer family. Welcome to the Kennedy Creative Arts Center's Lyle B. Clay Concert Theater at West Virginia University. The commencement ceremony is about to begin. At this time, please locate the nearest emergency exit. Please silence your cell phones, tablets, and other electronic devices, and turn your attention to the outstanding students who are the focus of this day. This is their moment to shine, so please give them and their many accomplishments your full attention. Now, let's get ready to welcome our graduates.
Oyez, oyez, oyez. Comes now the College of Law to present its 144th graduating class. Would you all present rise for the procession of the graduates, the faculty of the College of Law, and university officials? Please welcome members of the faculty and the platform party after our students arrive. Amelia Reinhart, William J. Mayer Dean of the WVU College of Law, members of the West Virginia University Board of Governors and Senior University Administration, and Vincent Carty, 2022's Professor of the Year and today's commencement speaker. Finally, Grand Marshal Chad Proudfoot, and Dr. E. Gordon Gee, President of West Virginia University.
Ladies and gentlemen, Please remain standing for the singing of our national anthem performed by Carice Wolf. After the singing of the national anthem, please remain standing for the singing of the Alma Mater. Please be seated. Good morning. It is my honor and privilege as the William J. Mayer Jr. Dean of the WVU College of Law to welcome you to this celebratory event. For 144 years, the WVU College of Law has educated lawyers and leaders for the state of West Virginia, the nation, and the world in tribute to our land-grant mission to serve. Our program and our graduates commit themselves to public service and to honor and civility in the legal profession. Today, our 2022 graduates end their journey here and begin a new one as legal professionals and lawyers across the world. Celebrations like commencement give us the opportunity to reflect on the time we have spent together and to honor this day as a milestone. With 2.5 of their 3 years being held during a pandemic, these graduates have endured more disruption and difficulty as law students than we should ever ask students to endure. Yet they have made it to the finish line and have done so with grace and kindness toward each other, and we could not be prouder of them. I would like to recognize the many people here today who have made it possible for our graduates to succeed in law school through their support and sacrifice, and who are just as proud of them as we are. Would the parents and guardians of the graduates please stand for applause? Would the partners and significant others of our graduates please stand for applause? Would the children of our graduates please stand? Grandparents or great-grandparents? Finally, would the friends and others supporting our graduates please stand? Thank you all so very much for your love and encouragement of our graduates, and thank you for joining them and us today. It is your day, too. This morning, a number of distinguished guests join us, and with pleasure, we welcome these members of the Platform Party and President Gee. Many of our graduates wear colored cords to represent the activities they have participated in and the honors they have earned during their College of Law careers. Those graduates who served in our nation's armed forces with valor and sacrifice are wearing red, white, and blue cords in tribute to their selfless service. Many of our faculty and staff members also have served in the armed forces. Please join me in thanking all of these graduates, faculty, and staff for their dedication and service to our great nation. Today's hooding ceremony originated in the medieval history of educational institutions. In honor of this time-honored tradition, we will invest the members of the class of 2022 with a hood in the color purple for the academic discipline of law, signifying that these graduates have been found qualified and worthy to receive the degree of Doctor of Jurisprudence. We will now present our Justitia Officium honorees.
The Justitia Officium Award is given each year in recognition of the outstanding contributions and service to the legal profession. It is the highest honor that the WVU College of Law can bestow on an individual. A bronze plaque in the College of Law lobby bears the name of all Justitia Officium recipients. Today, we are pleased to present the Justitia Officium Award to two individuals whose lives and careers represent the very best of our profession. Our first recipient of the Justitia Officium Award is Rosalind Clark Artis. Dr. Rosalind Clark Artis is the first woman president of Benedict College in Columbia, South Carolina, appointed in 2017. She was previously the 13th and first woman president of Florida Memorial University in Miami Gardens. A fierce advocate for educational access, Dr. Artis is frequently engaged as a mentor, lecturer, and catalyst for strategic transformation. She is a nationally respected innovator and thought leader on higher education issues, specifically those related to underserved and vulnerable populations. Dr. Artis has received more than 300 awards in recognition of her work, including being named Female HBCU President of the Year and one of the top 35 leading women in higher education. She is also a 2021 recipient of the Lawyers and Leaders Award presented by the WVU College of Law and West Virginia Executive Magazine. Among her many leadership roles, Dr. Artis serves on the board of directors of the American Council on Education and the Southern Association of Colleges and Schools Commission on Colleges. She is the chair of the President's Advisory Board for the Title III Administrators, a member of the NCAA Division II President's Council, and a member of the Educational Testing Services President's Advisory Council. In 2021, Dr. Artis was appointed to the National Advisory Committee on Institutional Quality and Integrity, counseling the U.S. Secretary of Education. Dr. Artis is a 1995 graduate of the West Virginia University College of Law. Our other recipient of the Justitia Officium Award today is Robert Whitehill. Robert S. Whitehill is a senior counsel at Fox Rothschild LLP in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, specializing in immigration law. For more than 25 years, he has served as the supervising attorney and co-director of the Immigration Clinic at the West Virginia University College of Law. Earlier this year, Mr. Whitehill was part of a team from the WVU Law Immigration Clinic that worked at a federal facility in Wisconsin to help Afghan citizens resettle in the U.S. Active in a wide range of civic and community issues, Mr. Whitehill has trained volunteer lawyers to represent foreign nationals trying to secure U.S. citizenship, helped counsel Muslim individuals from 26 countries who were forced to register with the U.S. Immigration and Nationalization Service in the wake of 9/11, facilitated the integration of hundreds of former Russian citizens into U.S. society, and assisted the Hebrew Immigrant Aid Society in formulating public policy. Mr. Whitehill's community service leadership roles are extensive. Among them, he is the former chair of the Pittsburgh chapter of the American Civil Liberties Union and the American Immigration Lawyers Association. He is also an emeritus board member of the Hebrew Immigrant Aid Society. Mr. Whitehill is a past recipient of the Pro Bono Award from the Allegheny County Bar Association and the Levinson Award for Community Leadership from the United Jewish Federation. He is a fellow of the Wexner Heritage Foundation. Mr. Whitehill earned his law degree from the University of Pittsburgh.
At this time, I'd like to introduce the 2022 class president, Dan Granfield. Dan will introduce Professor Vincent Carty, the member of our faculty who was voted by the graduating class to receive the award of Professor of the Year. Dan?
Thank you. Dean Reinhardt, faculty, family, friends, and my awesome classmates. A little less than 3 years ago, we were ushered into the Lugar courtroom for orientation, and I think it's safe to say that none of us could predict what today would feel like. I think it's also very safe to say that none of us could predict what the next 3 years of our lives would entail. When writing these remarks, I couldn't settle on one way to describe this class, so I settled on two. This class is both resilient, and this class is also very funny. The death of family members, among other things. The resilience we displayed throughout these 3 years is indisputable, but it was also our quirky sense of humor that brought us closer together throughout these 3 years. This is a class with a straight face requested a professor use puppets to explain arguments in a case, then supplied that professor with puppets when he clearly thought we were joking and said yes. This class also made some rather odd song requests to be played at our Barristers Ball Gala, such as the Canadian National Anthem and the Home Depot theme song. Luckily, the DJ was under no obligation to comply. But it wasn't just our humor and resilience that helped us along the way. Some professors went above and beyond what their job required in order to bring out the best in us. And as class president, I have the honor and the privilege to introduce this year's Professor of the Year. Professor Vincent Cardy has been a leading scholar and professor at the West Virginia University College of Law for more than 5 decades. He is truly an icon of this school. When I meet and talk with alumni of this school, the first person always asked about is him, and he is always thought of and remembered very fondly. When I asked classmates how they would describe this professor, the descriptions range from brilliant and a true gentleman to funny and inspiring. He is more than just a brilliant professor with well-known quirky hypotheticals in class. He is someone who is there for us in times of grief, in times of struggle, both personally and academically. He makes clear to anyone who seeks his help that he is willing to do as many practice problems as it takes for each student to succeed. It's clear he has made a lasting, positive impact on each student lucky enough to take his classes, both past and present. And as one classmate put it, Professor Cardy embodies the very reason we chose to attend the West Virginia University College of Law. It is now my esteemed honor to introduce to you this year's Professor of the Year and commencement speaker, Professor Vincent P. Cardy.
Thank you, Dan, for those kind remarks. Good morning, class of 2022. You must be full of pride and a sense of accomplishment this morning, and that's well deserved. But many of you will, on occasion, feel a tug in the back of your mind asking, am I up to this? Am I ready to be the kind of lawyer that I want to be? Am I ready to practice law? I posed this question to an old friend of mine, a lawyer who was as smart and as wise as they come. He said, Vince, it's just not that hard to be a good lawyer. All you have to do is show up for work, return phone calls, be honest with your clients, do the work, and get involved in the community. It's that simple. Over the years, I've sometimes thought about, is it really that simple? Is this all it really takes to be a good lawyer? What does it mean, show up for work? Well, actually show up. Show up on time and when needed. Show up day in and day out. Show up with enthusiasm and a positive attitude. Show up and listen. Be present for your client. Where do lawyers learn this habit of showing up to work? I know where most of you learned it. You learned it from your mother. You learned it from your father. You learned it from your grandparents, your friends, your teachers, and your coaches. From your pastor, from your imam, from your rabbi. And for some of you, it came from an innate spark within. Many of you had this characteristic when you first arrived at law school. This habit was a part of you when you first walked through that law school door. 3 years ago at 8:30 a.m. on an August Monday morning, you were right there in your seats in contracts class, books open, ready to take on what the day would bring. And on Monday morning 4 weeks ago in my sales class, many of you were also in your seats at 8:30 a.m., ready to take on what the day would bring. That's example one of showing up. Return phone calls. Law is a service profession. Yet the single most common complaint made to state bar associations is, I can't get a hold of my lawyer. She won't return my phone calls. When you agree to represent a client, you agree to undertake a professional responsibility for that client's legal problems. This means attending to their issues promptly. What about be honest with your clients? When you agree to represent a client, that client and his or her legal problems become the most important thing to you. Subject only to the law, the rules of professional ethics, and your conscience, you must represent the client with honesty, conviction, and passion. Be open with your client about the problems with his or her case. Always tell the truth. Do we need to ask what do the work means? Building on the work ethic you brought into law school, the law faculty began to teach you the process and substance of doing legal work. We guided you in learning how to read in a new way, to think in a new way, how to write in a new way. We helped you learn about contracts, torts, property and criminal and constitutional law, and how to apply the law and identifying the legal issues when your client tells you their story. It means taking what you've learned about legal methodology and the legal process and bringing your new analytical skills to bear on gathering the facts, assembling the story of what happened, locating statutes, cases, rules, and principles, sifting, analyzing, and arguing, then doing it all over again. It means doing all of this to further the interests of your client and with an eye also to strengthening the cause of fairness, equity, and justice. We had you for only 3 years, but you will build on this foundation heavily throughout your life in the law. Get involved in the community. Doing so will help you understand the culture of the people with whom you will negotiate on behalf of your client, people who will be on your juries and on your agency boards. Help you get to know the people who can help your clients. Help you get to know the people who will recommend you to others and also hire you as their lawyer and make you feel better about yourself. Most importantly, my friend also meant that public service is a lawyer's duty to give to the community that she serves. Is my friend's list the complete list of what it takes to be a good lawyer? Well, no. I would add organization. Law practice and cases are complicated. Courage, not just the courage to represent the accused in a horrible crime, but the courage to aggressively represent your client against people who may treat you and your client unreasonably. The courage to forge ahead when doubts about your position creep in, and you know they'll creep in. Independence. You represent your client, the courts, the law, and the ethical standards of your profession. You, no one else, have the responsibility for the decisions you make and the actions you take. If your client or a senior partner or someone else pressures you to violate this responsibility, you have to say no. And your professional and personal moral compass will help you do so. Teamwork. You must be able to work well with your client, witnesses, experts, paralegals, and other lawyers. So, when you ask yourself, can I really become the kind of lawyer I want to be? My response is, trust that you are enough right now. What got you here today will get you there tomorrow. The law school has played only a part in molding you into the person who will go out into the world to serve yourself, your family, your clients, and your community. We have been honored to play that part. Graduation is a proud and happy occasion for you and your families, yet it is in some ways bittersweet for the faculty and for me. Faces that we see every day, people we talk to, friends we have made, will soon scatter. Although a new group of students will arrive in the fall, they will not really replace you. You're special. Don't be strangers. Call to let us know what you're doing. Call with a question about contracts or secure transactions, or for whatever else you may want another opinion. I can say on the phone just as easily as I did in class, well, it depends. And so on behalf of the College of Law, we congratulate you on this step in your lives. As you are justly proud of yourselves, we are proud of you. Seth Underwood, we miss you and wish you were here with us today. And finally, for me, I thank you for the honor of being asked to address you today. It's important to me. Congratulations.
Thank you, Vince and Dan. Ladies and gentlemen, it is now my pleasure to again introduce Carice Wolf, who will sing Simple Gifts.
Tis the gift to be simple, tis the gift to be free, tis the gift to come down where you ought to be. And when we find ourselves in the place just right, we'll be in the valley of love and delight. One true simplicity is gained, to bow and to bend, we shan't be ashamed. To turn will be our delight, till by turning we come round right. Tis the gift to be simple, tis the gift to be free, tis the gift to come down where we ought to be. And when we find ourselves in the place just right, we'll be in the valley of love and delight.
Thank you, Carice. For the past 3 years, the faculty has been central in the transformation of these graduates from students to people on the threshold of a career as lawyers. My faculty colleagues and I are so very happy that we have had the privilege of teaching these students and learning from them. At this time, I would like for the faculty of the College of Law to please stand and be acknowledged.
West Virginia University honors the memory of students who did not have the opportunity to complete their degree by awarding a posthumous honorary diploma. At this time, the College of Law would like to honor Seth Allen Underwood, a member of the class of 2022, with a posthumous honorary degree. Seth was a native of Parsons, West Virginia. He earned his Bachelor of Science degree from the West Virginia University Energy and Land Management in May of 2019. He was a member of the WVU student government and the Phi Kappa Psi fraternity. Seth enrolled at the WVU College of Law in the fall of 2019. He became a member of the WVU Federal Bar Association and worked as a summer associate at Steptoe & Johnson, PLLC. Seth completed his 3rd semester of law school and was halfway through law school when tragically he passed away on December 30th, 2020. On behalf of the WVU College of Law, Dean Amelia Reinhardt presents the diploma honoris causa, Doctor of Jurisprudence, to Seth Allen Underwood.
President Gee will be conferring the degrees today. We are honored that President Gee has chosen the College of Law's ceremony as one of the ceremonies that he will preside over this weekend. Our Associate Dean for Academic Affairs, Elaine Wilson, will be reading the names of the graduates. The graduates will then be presented with their academic hoods. Some of our graduates today will be hooded by family members who are past graduates of the WVU College of Law or other law schools. This is a long-standing and meaningful tradition at the College of Law. I will have the honor of hooding the other members of the class of 2022. We welcome your participation in this celebration as you share with your loved ones the accomplishments that we recognize today. We invite you to express your enthusiasm in an appropriate way, and if you would like, you may come forward to take your pictures as your graduate receives their hood. However, I ask that you please hold your applause until after their name and their achievements of each graduate have been read. Let's begin. Should that be let's go?
Bailey Abbott, Fairmont, West Virginia. Perry Bailey, Charleston, West Virginia. Lugar Trial Association, President, West Virginia Association for Justice Student Chapter 2021-2022. Perry will be hooded by her father, Tim Bailey, WVU College of Law, class of 1991. Isaiah Belcher, Crab Orchard, West Virginia. Ginny Blake, Huntington, West Virginia. Lugar Trial Association, Order of the Barristers. Joseph Bortolucci, Agawam, Massachusetts. Ashley Brash, Oak Hill, West Virginia. President, American Civil Liberties Union of WVU Law, pro bono distinction. Victoria Bruno, Lombard, Illinois. International Law Concentration, Lugar Trial Association, pro bono distinction. James Bunn, Charleston, West Virginia. Samuel Burkhart, Lyndhurst, New Jersey, West Virginia Law Review. Hunter Butkovic, Kent, Ohio, Public Interest Law concentration. Anthony Caldera, Bridgeport, West Virginia, Lugar Trial Association. Joshua Camp, White Sulphur Springs, West Virginia, Lugar Trial Association. Catherine Campbell, Frederick, Maryland. Brandon Shin, Southington, Ohio, dual degree, JD, MPA. Megan Clark, Bellwood, Pennsylvania, pro bono distinction. Kate Colclaw, Huntington, West Virginia. John Crockett, Charleston, West Virginia, Labor and Employment Law concentration, President, Tax Law Society. John will be hooded by his father, Jim Crockett, William and Mary College of Law, class of 1981. Jamie Ditzler, Boca Raton, Florida, pro bono distinction. Jamie will be hooded by her spouse, Bradford Ditzler, Arizona Summit Law School, class of 2018. Darcy Delegati, Grafton, West Virginia, Energy and Sustainable Development Law concentration. Samshur Dhaliwal, Erie, Pennsylvania, Energy and Sustainable Development Law concentration. Lake and Dillon, Bluewell, West Virginia. Tony Dunlap, Morgantown, West Virginia. Kyle Elliott, Shiloh, West Virginia. Michael English, Richmond, Virginia, dual degree, JD MBA, West Virginia Law Review, pro bono distinction. Alexis Evans, Pendleton County, West Virginia, Lugar Trial Association. Alexa Fox, Hurricane, West Virginia. Dylan George, Moorfield, West Virginia. West Virginia Law Review, Order of the Coif. Katie Geigel, Richmond, Virginia. Taylor Glass, Bethesda, Ohio. Daniel Granfeld, West Haven, Connecticut. Moot Court, 2021 Baker Cup winner, President, Class of 2022, and Order of the Barristers. Daniel will be hooded by his sister, Megan Granfield, Roger Williams University School of Law, Class of 2018. Audra Grimm, Kent, Ohio. Public interest law concentration, President, Public Interest Advocates, pro bono distinction. Audra will be hooded by her father, Brian Grimm, Case Western Reserve University, Class of 1991. Toss Halming, Santa Fe, New Mexico. Abigail Harmon, Martinsburg, West Virginia. Abigail will be hooded by her father, Ronald Harmon, WVU College of Law, Class of 1992. Darwin Harris, East St. Louis, Illinois. Energy and Sustainable Development Law concentration, pro bono distinction. Darwin will be hooded by his aunt, Margot Hemphill, St. Louis University School of Law, Class of 2001. Aliyah Hassan, Cleveland, Ohio. President, Asian Pacific American Law Students Association. Aliyah. I'm so sorry. I knew it was going to be one of you. President, Asian Pacific American Law Students Association, pro bono distinction. Heather Haw, Moundsville, West Virginia. Michael Heidenreich, Nitro, West Virginia. Madison Hinkle, Shenandoah Junction, West Virginia. Energy and Sustainable Development Law Concentration, West Virginia Law Review. President, West Virginia Fund for Law and the Public Interest. President, Environmental Law Society, WVU College of Law 3L Legacy Award, and Pro Bono Distinction. Mackenzie Holdren, Richwood, West Virginia. Parker Holstein, Cross Lanes, West Virginia. Jack Herney, Charleston, West Virginia, President, Democratic Law Caucus. Jack will be hooded by his father, Thomas J. Herney, Jr., University of Dayton, class of 1983. Jalen Johnson, Glenville, West Virginia, West Virginia Law Review. Gabrielle Carr, Norrisville, Maryland, dual degree, JD MPA. Lauren Elizabeth King, Evans, West Virginia, West Virginia Law Review. Lauren Nolden, Frederick, Maryland. Kimberly Kozlowski, Roxbury, New Jersey. Eric Lasky, New York, New York. Jennifer Long, Charleston, West Virginia, Labor and Employment Law Concentration, President, Labor Law Society and Employment Law Association, Pro Bono Distinction, the American Bar Association Bloomberg BNA Award for Excellence in Labor and Employment Law. Jeremy Maines, Scottsdale, Pennsylvania, Lugar Trial Association, Pro Bono Distinction. Julia Mandat, Cleveland, Ohio, West Virginia Law Review, Pro Bono Distinction. Dayton Meadows, Goldsboro, North Carolina, President, Veterans Military Advocacy Group, Pro Bono Distinction. Alexis Medley, Pequot, Ohio. Public interest law concentration, Lugar Trial Association, pro bono distinction. Grace Morris, Charleston, West Virginia. William Morris, Parkersburg, West Virginia, pro bono distinction. Daniel O'Hare, Allentown, Pennsylvania, West Virginia Law Review, pro bono distinction. The American Bar Association Bloomberg B&A Award for Excellence in Labor and Employment Law, and Order of the Coif. Addison O'Rourke, Owego, New York. Sidney Pack, Staunton, Virginia, Jessup International Moot Court, Order of the Barristers, Order of the Coif. Emily Pauley, Winfield, West Virginia Law Review. Emma Pierman, Roanoke, Virginia. Dual degree, JD MPA. Moot court, pro bono distinction, Order of the Barristers. Jared Phelan, Glasgow, West Virginia Law Review. President, Sports and Entertainment Law Society. President, Federal Bar Association. Casey Putney, Urbana, Virginia. Dual degree, JD MPA. Lugar Trial Association, pro bono distinction, Order of the Barristers, and Order of the Coif. Michael Quinlan, St. Albans, West Virginia. Dual degree, JD MBA, moot court. Jennifer Raley, Bluefield, West Virginia. Zachary Ramey, Canova, West Virginia. Rachel Ramazan, Glenville, West Virginia. Dual degree, JD MBA, pro bono distinction. Rachel will be hooded by her partner, Ira Werner, WVU College of Law, class of 2021. Ashlyn Ramsey, Augusta, West Virginia. Matthew Regan, Huntington, West Virginia, the American Bar Association Bloomberg B&A Award for Excellence in Labor and Employment Law. Daniel Reitz, Wrightsville, West Virginia, the Thomas N. Chambers Award for Excellence in Taxation, and Order of the Coif. Chris Robinson, Morgantown, West Virginia Law Review. Sophia Runyon, Charlestown, West Virginia. Samantha Shaw, Bridgeport, Ohio, West Virginia Law Review, Jessup International Moot Court. Ian Shoulders, Buchanan, West Virginia, Labor and Employment Law Concentration, Moot Court, West Virginia Law Review. Eric Siddiqui, Gainesville, Virginia, dual degree, JD MBA. Susan Smith, Frostburg, Maryland. Ashley Stevens, Cross Lanes, West Virginia Law Review, President, Health Law Society, Pro Bono Distinction, and Order of the Coif. Emily Stern, Charleston, West Virginia, Public Interest Law Concentration, Pro Bono Distinction. Austin Stewart, Rossville, Indiana. Catherine Stewart, Proctorville, Ohio, Energy and Sustainable Development Law Concentration. Kevin Stryker, Wheeling, West Virginia, Lugar Trial Association, Order of the Barristers. Kevin will be hooded by his father, Kevin Stryker, WVU College of Law, class of 1982. Hannah Tate, Charleston, West Virginia. Augustus Thompson, Winchester, Virginia, Moot Court, Pro Bono Distinction. Keely Utt, Danbury, North Carolina, Energy and Sustainable Development Law Concentration, President, Energy Law Society, President, Animal Legal Defense Fund, Student Chapter. Keely will be hooded by her fiancé, Christian Huffman, WVU College of Law, class of 2021. Zoe Villasuso, Morgantown, West Virginia, Public Interest Law Concentration, Pro Bono Distinction. Natalia Watkins, Winston-Salem, North Carolina, pro bono distinction. Abigail Weirden, Dover, Delaware. Shay West, Lewisburg, West Virginia, dual degree, JD MPA. Mary Williams, Bluefield, Virginia, West Virginia Law Review, Order of the Coif. Robert Williamson, Williamstown, West Virginia. Adam Wilson, Apple Grove, West Virginia, West Virginia Law Review, Order of the Coif. Justin Wilson, Wheeling, West Virginia, Lugar Trial Association, West Virginia Law Review, President, Community Service Council, pro bono distinction, Order of the Barristers, and Order of the Coif. Emily Withrow, Beckley, West Virginia, President, Women's Leadership Council. Hannah Wright, Dayton, Ohio, Public Interest Law concentration, pro bono distinction. Luke Yingling, Ona, West Virginia, President, the Federalist Society. Rayanne Yoakum, Parkersburg, West Virginia, Public Interest Law concentration, Lugar Trial Association, pro bono distinction. Jamie U. Cepeda, San Jacinto, California, President, International Law Student Association, President, Hispanic Law Student Association. Caitlin Akers, Mount Carbon, West Virginia, Lugar Trial Association, Editor-in-Chief, West Virginia Law Review, pro bono distinction, National Association of Women Lawyers Award. Brooke Alexander, Huntington, West Virginia, Chief Justice, Moot Court, pro bono distinction, Order of the Barristers. Sean Hogben, Hedgesville, West Virginia, West Virginia Law Review, President, Student Bar Association, pro bono distinction, Order of the Barristers, and Order of the Coif. Holly Nye, Hartsgrove, Ohio, dual degree, JD MBA, President, Marlene Lugar Trial Association, Order of the Barristers.
As our 2022 hooding and commencement ceremony draws to a close, I hope that you will celebrate your many accomplishments today and in the future. You have mastered the academic demands of law school, and now you take your rightful place in the world as lawyers who transform lives in West Virginia and beyond. This is a tremendous day to celebrate a tremendous accomplishment. We are grateful to have gotten to know you. I want to invite all of you, graduates and guests, to join us immediately following this ceremony for a reception at the College of Law. It is an opportunity for you to share a few moments of camaraderie with your classmates and with us. You have had many experiences at the College of Law that will stay with you for the rest of your lives, and you have made many friends whom you will treasure for the remainder of your days. As you embark upon the practice of law, you will face many challenges and have many opportunities. During the past 3 years, my colleagues have equipped you with the knowledge and skills necessary to succeed in the legal profession. As you leave here and embrace your future, please do so with the aspirations this law school was founded upon in 1878, that the graduates of our West Virginia Law School would do something and be something that impacts our communities and our world. I'd now like to welcome President Gee to the podium for the conferral of degrees.
First of all, let me just say thank you to our dean who has navigated the first year, and we give her a round of applause, would you please? She's done a great job. And I want to thank Professor Carty. I will tell you a very interesting story. Vince Carty was on the search committee that brought me here in 1978. So if you have any problem with me, blame him, okay? But I'm delighted to be here to celebrate the West Virginia University class of 2022. And this is a great commencement experience, and it's something that we've not been able to really have over the last several years. The COVID-19 pandemic upended our most venerable traditions and disrupted our most basic routines. So today I begin by congratulating our graduates for the tremendous resolve they have shown in achieving this milestone. I might just say to the audience that I can remember 51 years ago when I received my own law degree. I can remember where I sat, I can remember the friends that I sat by, I can remember where I ate afterwards, but as to what the university president said, I can't remember a damn thing. So, so I'm going to make this very quick. So saying that, college is never easy. It shouldn't be, but over the past 2 years, students everywhere have endured truly a unique journey unrelated to the usual hurdles of algebra and equations, reading the law, reading assignments, and nerve-wracking exams. In fact, it seems to me that life itself has become an endless final exam with ever-shifting answers, mask required or optional, testing necessary or not, classes online or in person, gatherings possible or impermissible. Running this gauntlet has taken a toll on students as increasing rates of depression and anxiety nationwide have made it very clear. So however, I say this to this class, they have persevered. They have shown great resiliency. So please, would you give them a round of applause? So, in seemingly hopeless times, resilience, that great word, arms us against despair and builds the courage to overcome obstacles. And the hope you have honed to survive and thrive over the past 2 years will serve you well throughout your lives. So, recent research, by the way, shows that hopeful people, I'm saying this to every one of you, hopeful people are happier, less lonely, and more effective at reaching their goals than their gloomier peers. Hopeful athletes are more competitive. I hope our football team is very hopeful this year, by the way. Hopeful professionals are more productive, more engaged, and more creative. Hopefulness strengthens our resolve to fight for our principles and freedoms as the brave people of Ukraine are doing as we speak. And hopefulness lets us take our creativity to the next level. The steep step from having big ideas to using those ideas to solve real problems. It is easy to find excuses to maintain the status quo in our work and in our lives. Complacency, that awful world, creates comfort and fear of the unknown and is the greatest impediment to change and innovation. The possibility of failure is not a reason to resist change. Failure is, in fact, an inevitable and even mandatory detour on the road to any worthwhile goal. How many failures did Galileo experience, or Michelangelo? How many failures have the scientists in our space program overcome on their way to the moon and now to Mars? So I say this to each of our graduates. Your own journey may not lead to Mars, but it can lead to positive change if you commit to your unique purpose. And I'm going to underline that word purpose and make your choices serve that purpose. Whatever path you choose, the education you received here at West Virginia University will guide you to ever higher summits. The family members and friends and teachers who supported you throughout your education will always be here and always cheer you on. And on your behalf, and on behalf of all the people in this audience, I would like to offer a few words of wisdom that you can carry forward as you leave here today. So here it goes. First, when in doubt, just take the next small step. No matter how you feel, get up, dress up, and show up. Keep your sense of humor. And I just learned this recently. Always check the contents of your bag before leaving the drive-through window, by the way. Avoid envy. Avoid envy by accepting what you have, not pining for what others seem to have. If we all tossed our problems in a pile and saw what everyone else is coping with, we would most likely grab our own problems back. Pay off your credit cards every month and you will never have to worry about ending up as a contestant on the Squid Game. I worked on that one, please. When hard times strike, as they sometimes will, cry with someone. It is more healing than crying alone. If social media is raising your blood pressure, damn it, get offline and talk to actual human beings, okay? Healthy habits promote a longer and happier life, but when it comes to chocolate, give in. Resistance is futile. Make peace with your past so that it will not screw up the future. Unlike Marvel characters, we only have one lifetime to work with, so each choice we make has lasting repercussions on our future. Above all, this is my last admonition, be glad that recent years have already taught you an important lesson. Life will not always be fair, but it can always be good. And your hopeful spirit will accompany you wherever you go and inspire you past every obstacle. So now here we go. Will the degree candidates from the College of Law please rise? Everyone please rise, okay? Graduates, yours is a field of tremendous importance. Having acquired the skills to think clearly and advocate effectively, you can act as a voice to the voiceless, a voice of reason in our public discourse. As a West Virginia University graduate, put your mountaineer values to work, solving problems and changing lives. Make service to others not just an obligation, but your passion. Nurture the curiosity that enables you to visualize new ideas, try new solutions, and blaze new paths. Respect others and search for common ground on which to build our shared future. Be accountable to yourself and others by working hard and maintaining the highest possible ethics. Celebrate the successes that education has put within your reach and inspire others to value the rule of law in a just society. Above all, make every day that you live an opportunity to learn. So, ladies and gentlemen, by virtue of the authority vested in me by the West Virginia University Board of Governors, I hereby confer upon you the degrees for which you have been recommended, with all the rights, honors, and privileges appertaining thereto. So please join me in congratulating our newest graduates.
Thank you all for attending today's ceremony. Please remain standing, caught you, and join the class of 2022 in singing Country Roads, as is our tradition here.
Almost heaven, West Virginia, Blue Ridge Mountain, Shenandoah River. Life is old there, older than the trees, younger than the mountains, growing like a breeze. Country roads take me home to the place I belong. West Virginia, Mountain Mama, take me home. Country roads, all my memories gather round her. Miner's lady, stranger to blue water, dark and dusty, painted on the sky. Missed a taste of moonshine, teardrops in my eyes. Country roads, take me home to the place I belong. West Virginia, Mountain Mama, take me home. Country roads, I hear her voice in the morning hours. She calls me. The radio reminds me of my home far away. Driving down the road, I get a feeling that I should have been home yesterday, Lord, yesterday. Country roads, take me home to the place I belong. West Virginia, Mountain Mama, take me home. Country roads, take me home to the place I belong. West Virginia, Virginia, Mountain Mama, take me home. Country roads, take me home. Down country roads, take me home. Down country roads.